Welcome back to Vintage Diamonds. Today we are going to talk about the classic beauty Ava Gardner. When did you notice her for the first time, and how old were you? Let me know in the comments section. Let me tell you a few interesting trivial facts about her. Will you enjoy these gorgeous photos? While she sang in her own voice for the Killers, her singing voice was dubbed in all MGM films, much to her displeasure. In her final years, she lived alone in her London apartment with her beloved Welsh corgi, Morgan, and her longtime housekeeper Carmen Vargas. She was partially paralyzed and bedridden after 2 strokes in 1986. Although she could easily afford her medical expenses, Frank Sinatra offered to pay for her to visit a specialist in the US, and she allowed him to arrange for a medically staffed private plane. Before she died of pneumonia at age 67, her last words were, "I'm so tired." Her body was buried privately in North Carolina, where Vargas was born. None of her ex-husbands attended. Earthquake director Mark Robson was surprised when she insisted on doing her own stunts, that included dodging heavy steel pipes and blocks of concrete. It was during the first 2 years of her marriage to Frank Sinatra that his career reached its lowest point. Often, she had to loan him money so he could buy presents for his children. In 1951, he went broke, so she had to buy plane tickets for him to go to Africa with her, where she was shooting Mogambo. His life changed after he won the Best Supporting Actor Oscar for his performance in From Here to Eternity. She often referred to her North Carolina hometown as Grabtown in Smithfield, but it is actually a crossroads community called Brogden. Locals refer to it as Grabtown. 7 miles west of Smithfield is a larger town. During her time in Spain, she became good friends with writer Ernest Hemingway, whom she and his other friends called Papa. They were both fans of bullfighting. In an interview with an Australian reporter, she was able to use foul language with such ease that her swearing was said to be like a sailor and a truck driver competing. She threw a glass of champagne at the reporter, who said that at the moment, all he could think of was how bloody gorgeous she was. An Englishman who was the set designer on Pandora, and the Flying Dutchman said about her, that she could eat twice as much as anyone, and drink 3 times as much as anyone. After suffering from emphysema in later life, she was unable to travel far without an oxygen tank. After being left partially paralyzed by 2 strokes in 1986, she confessed to Mickey Rooney that she contemplated suicide when he brought his hugely successful musical Sugar Babies to London in the late 1980s. Charlton Heston revealed in his autobiography In the Arena that she behaved badly during the troubled filming of 55 Days at Peking. In one instance, she stopped filming after an extra took her picture without her permission. According to Heston, her character was killed off, so the producers and director wouldn't have to deal with her anymore. Apparently, she called Mike Nichols and said, "I want to see you," about the role of Mrs. Robinson in The Graduate. Nichols did not seriously consider her for the role, but did visit her hotel. A few days later, he recalled, she sat at a little French desk with a telephone, and she went through all the movie star clichés. "First of all, I strip for nobody." As Yvonne De Carlo once remarked, she's one of the few women I like in Hollywood. Ava Gardner once said, "Maybe I just didn't have the temperament for stardom." I'll never forget seeing Bette Davis at the Hilton in Madrid. I went up to her and said, "Miss Davis, I'm Ava Gardner, and I'm a great fan of yours." And do you know, she behaved exactly as I wanted her to behave. "Of course you are, my dear," she said. "Of course you are." And she swept on. Now that's a star.